Welcome everyone to Whimsy Woven Stories. Here, we explore gripping tales of real-life twists. Join our storytelling community.
I had imagined this moment 1,000 times. The long driveway, the amber porch light flickering like it always had, whiskey glass in her hand. She was a creature of habit, Evelyn, and there she was behind that door, living the life she killed me for 8 years. 8 years of silence, of dirt, of cold, of blood, and fire and everything she thought she'd buried. I adjusted the cuffs on my blue jacket, pressed and clean, just the way she liked me to look. My hand trembled only slightly as I raised it. Knock firm, deliberate. I waited, nothing. Knock again, a little harder this time. I imagined her on the other side, frozen, clutching that glass like it could protect her from what was coming. Then movement, I leaned forward, just enough. There the peephole darkened, and then I saw it. Her breath catching like a punch to the ribs. The twitch of her hand on the doorknob. The shock, the fear, perfect. The door creaked as it cracked open, and there she stood. Still. Beautiful, still cold, but paler now. Older, more expensive. Her eyes locked on mine, wide wet. I didn't give her time to think. I smiled. She couldn't breathe. I could see it. The way her chest tightened, the way her jaw trembled. She whispered, "What, how?" Her knees buckled a little, and I stepped forward. Just enough to make sure she couldn't deny I was real. The porch light caught the faint bruises along my arms, the scar near my collarbone. I let her see all of it. I tilted my head, watched her try to make sense of it. She couldn't. She didn't speak again. She just stared like a ghost had crawled out of her nightmares. And maybe I had. She thought it was over. She thought she got away with it. But the past has a habit of knocking. And on that quiet night in Roma, Texas, I knocked on her front door. 8 years earlier, Roma, Texas. People looked at us like we were the blueprint, the perfect couple. Big house, big smiles, bank accounts that didn't flinch. Evelyn and Daniel Murray, Atlanta's golden pair. She was the face of the business world, a real estate powerhouse. Evelyn could sell snow in a blizzard and make you thank her for it. People trusted her. Hell, I did too once. When we first met, she had this way of talking that made everything else go quiet. Confident, smooth, almost hypnotic, she smiled. Suddenly, your doubts didn't matter. I was just back from a tour, trying to figure out what came next. She made it easy to believe that next was her. "You're different," she told me once over drinks, her eyes locking with mine. "How so?" "You look at me like you see through the charm, like you actually see me." That line stuck with me. God, she was good. I was 31, still wearing the weight of sand and war on my shoulders. She was 28, heels clicking like gunshots through the marble floors of downtown condos, and I fell, flowers, dinners, quiet. Sundays. I gave her everything I thought love was supposed to be, and she gave me her version of forever. "You'll never have to worry again," she said one night, her head on my chest, her fingers tracing the scar above my ribs. "I'll give us the life we deserve." For a while she did. We built something. At least I thought we did. The house, the money, the name. It all came fast. But love fades when the lies begin. And with Evelyn, they didn't just begin. They multiplied. She never stayed loyal for long. At first, I blamed myself. Maybe I was too focused on rebuilding a civilian life. Maybe I didn't excite her the way she needed. But deep down, I knew better. I could smell the cologne on her blouse when she came. Home late, not mine. Musky sharp, not the scent I wore since my 20s. There was one night. She came in around midnight. High heels clicking like she was proud of the hour. I was in the kitchen, pretending to read over bills. "You're up," she said, brushing past me to the wine rack. "Yeah, you were supposed to be in Macon till Sunday." She hesitated, just for a second, then smiled. "Deal closed early. Figured I'd surprise you." I nodded, eyes fixed on the smudge of lipstick on her neck. "Whose cologne is that?" She blinked. "What?" I stood, walked up to her, took in a scent. "Close. That's not mine, Evelyn." She laughed. "Too quick. You're being ridiculous." "Maybe from the cab driver, or the meeting room." I held up the receipt I'd found tucked in her purse. "Hotel, 2 nights, 1 king bed, signed under E. Murray plus guest." Her face didn't flinch. "It's not what you think, baby. I share the room with Linda, save money," she said, walking over, fingers sliding up my arm. "You're the only one I love." I had my suspicions, but I knew she will not accept. That night we argued and went to bed angry. She showed up the next day with a new watch for me, booked a weekend. Cabin in the mountains, made love to me like it still meant something. And I let myself believe her because I wanted to. The pattern repeated. There was the intern from her firm. The one she fired conveniently the same week I started. Asking questions. The consultant from Tampa. She just had to meet in person. The neighbor 2 doors down whose shirt I found in her gym bag each time I asked. She said the right words, cried the right tears. "You're the only one who really knows me, Daniel. You think I'd risk this?" I did, but I didn't want to. I stayed. Because I believed marriage was worth fighting for. Because I was taught to hold the line, not abandon it. Because I loved her. But deep down I knew Evelyn wasn't going to stop. Not for me, not for anyone. And then came the money. It was never about love with Evelyn. It was always about control, and money was her god. Fast cars, flashy parties. She couldn't say no to anything that sparkled. But I started noticing the cracks. Late fees, overdrawn accounts. A bank notice buried in a stack of magazines. Then came the punch to the gut. I found out she took a second. Mortgage on our home. Our home. She didn't ask, didn't even tell me. Are you out of your mind? I asked her, slamming the paperwork on the kitchen table. Daniel, calm down. It's a short-term risk for a long-term gain. You forged my signature. She didn't deny it. She just poured herself a drink. We needed capital. Deals don't wait, Daniel. I could barely look at her. You're bleeding us dry. She rolled her eyes. Don't be dramatic. You're just scared of success. Success. That's what she called it. But I knew better. We were drowning. And if I didn't act soon, she was going to take us both down. But love fades when the lies begin. I did what any man in my position would do. What any sane man who'd been pushed to the edge by lies, by betrayal, by watching his life slowly unravel would do. I took control. I shut down the credit cards, closed off the accounts she used like her personal playground, locked away what was left of our savings before she could bleed it dry. You don't trust me, she spat one night, eyes flashing as she scrolled through her phone, the card declining yet again. No, I said, not anymore. For the first time in our marriage, Evelyn wasn't in charge, and she hated me for it. The dinner stopped. The fake apologies stopped. She stopped pretending. One night, I sat her down at the kitchen table, the same one we picked out together 5 years earlier. Cherrywood, 6 seats. She was sipping red wine like she hadn't a care in the world. I can't do this anymore, I said. Her smile faded, lips tightening just slightly. Do what? This, the marriage, the lies, the cheating, the money, all of it. My voice didn't rise, didn't shake. I had rehearsed it 100 times. I'm done. Evelyn. She stared at me, still as glass. I could feel her measuring something in her mind. I went on. I've spoken to a lawyer. This isn't a conversation. It's a decision. Her face changed. I'd seen her. Angry before, doors slammed, voices raised. But this was different. There was no fire in her eyes, just shadow, a cold calculation. You leave me, she said, her voice razor sharp. And you leave with nothing. I laughed. Cold, dry, tired. I'm taking half, Evelyn. You can't stop me. And that was the moment, the one I didn't recognize for what it truly was. The moment I signed my own death warrant. She didn't shout. She didn't cry. She just stood up, kissed my cheek, and whispered, let's not do this like enemies. A few days passed. The tension in the house turned thick, quiet, dangerous. Then she came to me one morning, her voice soft, her hands cool as they rested on my shoulders. Take the trip, she said. What trip? I asked. The one you were always talking about. Can't come. She smiled, all warmth and remorse, like we were back at the beginning. Take a break. Clear our head, please. One last shot at us, at this marriage. I stared at her. You to try. She shook her head. We can talk. Fix what we can. I know I've made mistakes, but we deserve one more try, Daniel. I wanted to say no. I should have. But something in me, maybe the part that still remembered how she made me feel in the early days. All right, I said quietly, one last time. She smiled, leaned in, and kissed me. And for a second, I almost believed it. But she wasn't kissing me out of love. She was playing her part. Pretending like she wasn't about to kill her husband. The night before we left for Mexico, Evelyn was different, sweeter, softer, almost like the woman I fell in love with. She made steak my favorite. Even lit candles, the real kind, not the little battery things she'd grown fond of. We ate on the back porch. She held my hand the whole time, looked me in the eye, promised we'd fix things. I know I've made mistakes, she said, stroking the back of my hand with her thumb. But I want us again, Daniel. I want to remember who we were. And damn it, I wanted to believe her. So I let my guard down. That was my mistake. I thought I was boarding that flight to find clarity, maybe peace. But all I was walking into was a grave. We landed and made our way to the house. Remote, quiet, tucked between palms and cliffs. No reception, no neighbors, just ocean, heat, and her. It was marketed as honeymoon spot. That should have tipped me off. The first few days felt surreal. We took walks on the beach, barefoot, and laughing like we were kids again. She wrapped her arms around me during sunset like we still meant something. I don't want to lose you, she said one night, lying on my chest. We just lost our way, baby. We can fix this. And maybe if I didn't know her so well, I would have fallen for it. But Evelyn had always been a good liar. And I know performance. When I see one. At night, when she curled beside me, her body was there, but her eyes were always somewhere else. On the fourth night, I couldn't sleep. Something gnawed at me. So I did what I'd been doing for weeks. I checked the finances. Again. I'd moved the main funds into protected accounts before the trip. But tonight, the offshore accounts were active again. Transactions, withdrawals, another loan, another lie. I walked into the kitchen where she was sitting, a glass of whiskey already in her hand. I saw the bank statements, Evelyn. She didn't even flinch, just took another sip. Her jaw tightened. You drained our savings again, and you took out another loan under our name. My voice was low but boiling. She didn't answer. Do you have any idea what you've done? I demanded. She scoffed and looked out the window. It's my money too, Daniel. Not anymore. I snapped. I'm done cleaning up your messes. I took a breath, trying to keep steady. When we get home, I'm filing for divorce. That got her. hand clenched around the glass. "You're not taking half of my money, Daniel." Her voice was like ice. I stepped forward, my fists balled. "It's not your money. It's ours. I earned just as much building that life. I put in everything. Time, sacrifice, trust. You think you can walk away with what I built?" She spat. I stared at her. My heart was hammering. My voice cracked, not from fear, but rage. "I gave you years of my life, Evelyn. Years. And all you ever did was lie and cheat and spin like it was your right. I stayed because I thought I could fix it. Fix us. But I'm done." I turned, hands shaking, everything in me unraveling. That's when Evelyn snapped. I turned my back. That was my final mistake. I heard the zipper, then the unmistakable click of metal. When I spun around, Evelyn had my revolver in her hand. Where the hell did she get a gun? Might be from a local cartel guy. My mind was asking all the questions it could think of. "Evelyn," I managed. The first shot tore through my shoulder. The force spun me halfway, dropped me to one knee. I looked at her, disoriented, heart racing, evil. The second shot hit my gut. Hot, blinding. I collapsed, gasping, hand pressed to the blood now soaking through my shirt. I couldn't understand. I couldn't breathe. My eyes locked with hers. She didn't move. Why? I croaked, but my voice wasn't working. Nothing was. I tried to push myself up, tried to crawl, tried to reach her. This woman I had loved, protected, forgiven. But my limbs were failing. My fingers brushed her ankle. My lips moved. "Please." She leaned down. Her eyes, those eyes that had once promised forever, were wide, wild. She was breathing fast, ragged. Then something in her snapped. I saw it, felt it. She wasn't done. She left, came back with a blanket, one from the couch, the one we used the night we watched the stars from the patio. She wrapped it around me. I tried to fight, but my body didn't answer. I was cold. Everything was fading. She dragged me outside. I could hear twigs snap beneath. Could smell the salt in the air, the faint trace of her perfume, the dirt. There was a clearing. She had picked it, outplanned it. I remember looking up at the moon. It was full, too bright. She wouldn't meet my eyes now. She dropped me into the hole. The impact sent another wave of agony through me. My phone landed beside me. Then the dirt came, slow at first, then faster. I couldn't move, couldn't scream, couldn't breathe. I saw her face one last time as she forced herself to look away. Then darkness. She went back inside. I don't know how long she's been in there. Cleaning, bleaching, scrubbing. The blood on the couch. The blood on the floors. My blood. She disassembled the gun, buried it miles away. Burned my clothes. Bagged which she couldn't bleach. By morning, the house looked untouched. Like nothing had ever happened. The next day, Evelyn Murray walked into the local police station in Cancun, her eyes red and glassy, her hands shaking just enough to seem sincere. She wore a light summer dress and grief like a tailored shawl draped perfectly over her shoulders. "My husband," she said breathlessly. "He's missing." The officer behind the desk looked up, only mildly interested. "We had an argument," Evelyn continued, voice cracking. "He was upset, stressed. He needed time to think. I went to bed alone. When I woke up, he was gone." She paused, let the silence hang between them, the tears beginning to fall. "Please. I'm so scared something happened to him." But the Mexican authorities had heard this story before. Tourists disappearing wasn't rare. Drunken fights, cheating spouses, people running off and returning home quietly a week later. It was all familiar. Evelyn played her part with skill. There was no sign of foul play, no blood, no mess, no witnesses. Just the story of husband who walked out in the middle of the night and never came back. And just like that, Evelyn walked out of the station a free woman. She returned to Roma days later. The perfect picture of heartbreak. Friends gathered around her. She held vigils. She lit candles. She cried in front of cameras and family. "I just want him to come home," she whispered into microphones. "Daniel, if you're out there, please just come home." But behind closed doors, Evelyn was already tying up loose ends. When the public's sympathy started to fade, she moved swiftly. She filed a death certificate, claimed every dollar of Daniel's life insurance, drained their joint accounts, sold the assets he'd worked so hard to build. She didn't waste time mourning. Within a year, Evelyn Murray had remarried, this time to a successful entrepreneur. She was back in designer heels, sipping champagne and hosting charity galas, smiling, thriving, living her best life, as if Daniel Murray had never existed. I woke to weight, crushing, suffocating, heavy, and endless. The dark wasn't just around me, it was inside me. I opened my mouth to breathe and got a mouthful of dirt. Panic exploded in my chest. I was underground, alive. She had buried me alive. My head throbbed with a pulse that didn't feel human. My lungs burned. I couldn't think. I could only move. I forced my arms to shift, fingers digging into the loose, damp soil. My hands scraped against roots, rocks, anything in the way. Skin tore, blood mingled with the dirt. Every inch upward felt like I was dragging the weight of the earth itself. My shoulders screamed, my gut felt like it was on fire, but I kept going, one handful of dirt, then another. Because if I stopped, I was dead. My fingers broke through something. Breeze. I clawed harder, kick pushed. My lungs grabbed at the oxygen like they were starving. Then light, moonlight. I broke the surface. Half my body still buried, my arms trembling, breath coming. In these ragged, pitiful gasps, I could have passed out right then. I wanted to, but I didn't. I forced myself to my hands and knees, then somehow my feet. I had no idea where I was. Jungle somewhere. Outside Cancun. Didn't matter. I had to get away. I stumbled forward. Every step sent pain shooting through my bones, through the bullet wounds that refused to be ignored. I don't know how long I walked. Then headlights a car. I tried to wave my arms. They barely moved. My knees hit pavement, the screech of brakes, doors slamming. Spanish, urgent, panicked Spanish all around me. I couldn't respond. I tried. A man dropped beside me, shouting to someone behind him. Hands touched my face, lifted my arms. I tried to speak, tried to say my name. Tell him she did this, but nothing came out. The man, whoever he was, shouted something and ran. My ears rang with static. My body was ice and fire all at once. Then a new face appeared. White coat, calm voice, hands moving fast over my chest, my throat, the side of my face. I tried to speak, tried to ask the most basic question. Where am I? But nothing came out. Not a sound. My tongue was sandpaper, my throat raw. I looked at him, desperate. He said something soothing in Spanish. I couldn't process any of it. My mind was a fog I couldn't claw through. And worse than the pain, worse than the weakness, I didn't know who I was. They ran tests, scans, hooked me up to machines that beeped and flashed. I drifted in and out. I don't know how many days passed. Eventually, the truth came. You've been in a coma. The doctor said one morning, voice gentle, face grave. 13 months. I blinked at him. The words didn't register. 13 months. You had multiple injuries, broken ribs, internal bleeding, a skull fracture. Very serious. I opened my mouth, tried again. Who? But I couldn't finish it. I didn't know the rest of the question. Who am I? You had no identification, he continued. No fingerprints in the system. No visitors. No one came looking. No one. I was a ghost. They call me John Doe. At first, it felt like an insult, like being erased. But over time, it became something else, a blank page, a second chance. I didn't recognize the name, but I accepted it. A new name, a new identity. Then one day, the nurse whispered something in Spanish and pointed toward the door. He said the man who saved me is here to take me with him. A man walked in, tan skin, salt and pepper hair, a trimmed beard, and eyes that looked like they'd seen too much. He smiled at me like we shared a secret. Let's go. Hombre milagroso, he said, clapping his hand on my shoulder. Let's go, miracle man. Before I could respond, 2 more men stepped in. They moved like soldiers, quick, efficient, quiet. They helped me into a wheelchair. I was a husk of myself, skin hanging loose over bones. 13 months in a hospital bed had turned me into a shadow. They wheeled me outside into the sunlight and into a black SUV. No explanations, no questions asked, just a long drive, winding through hills and valleys until we reached a mansion. Massive gates, stucco walls, high fences, security cameras everywhere. I was too weak to ask what this place was, but I knew it wasn't a recovery center. The next morning, a therapist arrived. Reel 1 clipboard, stretch routines, physical rehab drills. Weeks passed then. Months. Pain gave way to strength, and the strength turned into power. The muscle came back faster than it should have, like my body remembered something my mind didn't. My hands moved with precision. My reflexes sharpened. I started feeling like I'd been made for this. Some of the other guys at the house, grunts, guards, whoever they were, tried sparring with me. For fun. But when I got in the ring, something clicked, something primal. I wasn't just swinging fists. I was calculating, measuring timing, exploiting weaknesses. I beat them. All of them. You fight like a machine. One of them laughed after I knocked him down for the second time. Then came the guns. They handed me a pistol for a training drill. My hands moved without thinking. Clip, chamber, aim, fire, clean, center mass. One after the other, a shotgun, an Uzi, a scoped rifle. Same story every time. I wasn't natural. The man who saved me, the quiet one, watched from a distance. He rarely spoke, but he was always there, observing, measuring, waiting. Then one night, one of the guys, a younger kid with tattoos and a busted nose, leaned in and said, you're one of us now, gringo, you're in the cartel. 3 days later, the sun hadn't even touched the edge of the sky when we rolled out. 5 trucks, all black, engines purring low. I was in the back of the third one, knees pressed against the cold steel floor, gripping a Colt M4A1 with a foregrip and red dot sight. Fully automatic, smooth as silk, reliable as hell. 2 extra 30. Round mag strapped to my vest, Glock 19 tucked in a hip holster, K-bar combat knife sheathed along my thigh. They had kicked me out like they already knew I belonged. We were headed to a bridge just west of Ciudad del Carmen. Narrow, isolated, nothing but jungle on both sides. The perfect bottleneck. They're moving. 6 deep. 2 trucks, heavy with Zeta muscle, one of the guys said, checking his AK's chamber. The plan was simple. Stop the lead truck, trap the second, kill everything in between. I didn't blink. I didn't ask questions. I just checked my gear and nodded. We set up half a mile from the bridge. 1 truck blocked the far end. Another loaded with steel drums rolled across and stalled, sealing the kill zone. We fanned out in the brush, low and silent. I took position behind a broken concrete pillar, maybe 10 meters from the bridge's edge. Then, headlights. They were coming fast. No clue what they were driving into. The radio crackled once. Now the first explosion lit up the night. A Molotov slammed into the lead truck's windshield, and the cab erupted in flame. Their brakes squealed. The second truck slammed into the first. Doors burst open. Men poured out. ARs, shotguns, pistols, yelling orders in Spanish. I was already moving. I squeezed the trigger, short bursts. 2 down before they even turned to fire. The M4 kicked steady in my hands, rounds punching through windshields and torsos alike. One guy popped up behind a wreck, sawed off. Double barrel in hand. I ducked left, rolled, came up behind a tree, aimed, fired. One shot clean through the neck. He dropped. The rest of the crew moved fast. A hail of bullets tore through the air, AKs rattling from the brush muzzle. Flashes everywhere. I saw one of ours go down, chest open by a shotgun blast. Didn't matter. We pushed. A Zeta climbed. On the hood of his truck, spraying with an Uzi. I switched to my Glock. 2 shots, both hit. He tumbled down like sack of cement. I advanced under cover fire. Flanked left. Spotted the last one hiding behind a rear bumper. He was trying to radio someone. Too late. I took a knee, lined up my shot. 2 rounds center mess. He dropped the radio as he bled out. Then silence. Gunpowder in the air, bodies cooling on the concrete. 5 of them dead, not one of ours standing untouched. But the job was done. Fast, precise, brutal. And for the first time in over a year, I felt alive. It had been 2.5 years since I clawed my way out of a shallow grave, 16 months since I woke up in a hospital without a name or a past, and 16 months since the man who pulled me from the edge of death had first smiled and called me hombre milagroso miracle. Man, then said almost nothing else. Until today, I was in the courtyard cleaning my M4 under the shade, hands moving on. Instinct. The others had scattered. You learn not to be in the boss's way when he shows up. That's when I saw him. Tailored. Shirt, black slacks, leather boots, a fat cigar burning slow between 2 fingers. Salt and pepper hair, trimmed beard, unreadable eyes. He didn't stop at the edge this time. He walked straight toward me and sat down across the table. Come intentional, like this moment had been coming for a long time. You've come a long way, he said, watching me. I nodded once. You've been watching. I always watch, he said, his voice quiet but certain. Then he leaned in slightly. And for the first time in over a year, he told me his name. My name is Santiago. Meza Lopez, he said. He said it like it meant something, like it was a weight. And it was. I'd heard whispers. The men around here didn't say much, but when they said Lopez, they said it with respect or fear, usually both. He took a drag of his cigar and exhaled through his nose. Do you remember who you are? He asked me. I stared at him hard, beginning to tick harder than it had in months. Pieces, I said, finally still scattered. Lopez reached into his jacket and pulled out something. A photo. He handed it to me without another word. I looked down and everything stopped. It was her Evelyn. Hair like I remembered. Makeup perfect. That smile, that same look she wore the night. She said we should go to Cancun to fix our marriage. It hit me like a bullet to the chest. The room spun, the candlelight, the coldness, the pain, the dirt, the gunshots, the grave. I dropped the photo. I couldn't breathe. My legs gave out before I realized I was even standing. I hit the floor like a marionette with its strings cut. Then darkness. When I opened my eyes, I was lying in bed. My chest heaved, sweat soaked through the sheets. My pulse thundered. Lopez was there, sitting in a chair by the door, like he hadn't moved. That woman, I rasped. That's my wife. He didn't blink. I know. She shot me. She buried me alive. She left me in the jungle like I was nothing. I know, he repeated, then added. You were found by boys who answered to me. I paid to keep it quiet. I brought you here because I saw something in you, but I didn't know what it was. Until now, he leaned forward slightly. You're not John Doe, are you? I stared at him, and for the first time in 16 months, the name came without fear. No, I said. My name is Daniel Murray. Lopez nodded. Then it's time you decide. Daniel, do you want to keep being one of us? I sat up, fire building in my gut again. But this time it wasn't rage alone. It was purpose. I need to go back home, I said. My voice was steady now. Hold. I need to go back for my revenge. Lopez stood by the window of his study the next morning, a glass of something dark in his hand, eyes hidden behind sunglasses, even though the room was dim. You're sure? He asked without turning around. I didn't hesitate. Yes. He nodded once, slow and deliberate. Then, I'll make the arrangements. By dusk, I was gone. The jet was private. The papers were clean. The passport had my face, but someone else's name. And by sunrise, I was back in Roma, back from the dead. I took my time, hid in the shadows. Got a burner phone. Found a spot to stay. A rundown motel outside town where the paint peeled and no one asked questions. Then I started looking. It didn't take long. She hadn't moved. Not from our house. The lawn I mowed every Sunday. The porch where I'd kissed her goodnight 100 times. Now she lived there. Evelyn, playing the doting wife again. This time to some successful entrepreneur with soft hands and soft eyes, who had no idea the woman sleeping beside him was a killer. And just like that, the rage came roaring back, but I didn't go through the front door. Not yet. I wanted her to feel. At first, to know something was wrong, to question her own sanity the way she made me question mine when she whispered lies. Through those perfect teeth. One night, I left a rose on the porch. Just one. Red. No. The next day, she checked the security camera footage and saw nothing because I'd already looped the feed before I stepped onto her porch. Then came the phone calls, block number. I never said a word, just breathed. Just once or twice a week. Hello. Who is this? I stayed silent. Sometimes I let her hear the faint sound of waves. Can't come. Then I hung up. She started locking every door twice. Kept the lights on all night. The husband, James, I think started looking at her like she was losing it. And I wasn't done. I left a box that contained the blood-soaked t-shirt, similar to the one I was wearing that fatal night, in her mailbox. She screamed when she opened. It slammed the box shut and ran inside. I watched her from the trees. She was unraveling. A week later, I let her see me just for a moment. She was backing out of the driveway. I stepped out from behind the side of the house. Enough that she saw the shape of a man in the mirror. She froze, looked back, but I was gone. She told James she saw someone. He told her it was stress. A few days later, I sat on the back porch swing at 2 a.m., facing the lake. She came out in her robe, maybe thinking she heard something. I stood slowly, her eyes locked on me. Daniel, she whispered, and then disappeared into the trees before she could step off the porch. I didn't say a word. She called the cops that night, filed a report, but there was no evidence, no signs of a break-in, nothing on camera. James started sleeping in the guest room. By now, she was snapping at everyone. Neighbors, clients, even the mailman. She kept the curtains drawn, looked over her shoulder everywhere she went. I made sure of that. Then the final touch. I mailed her a photo of us from Mexico. The last trip, candlelight, our hands entwined. On the back, I wrote just one word. Remember, that's when Evelyn snapped. She was unraveling, and I wasn't going to let her breathe. Evelyn used to thrive on control. Of people, of money, of me. Now she couldn't even control her. On reflection, she'd catch movement in the mirror, spin around, and find nothing. But I was there every time. Her new husband, James, he started to crack next. I could see it on his face. The late nights, the arguing. He hadn't signed up for this. And Evelyn never told him the truth. Never told him she killed her last husband and buried him in Mexico. Never told him I was that husband. I made sure my ghost stayed with him, tapping on windows at 3 a.m. Light footsteps on the porch. A knock at the back door, followed by silence. James started asking questions. Why is this happening? Is there something I should know? I watched him through the living room window one night. He stood over her, furious. You're not telling me everything, Evelyn. Who is this guy? What the hell is going on? She broke, started crying, but I knew that cry. It wasn't guilt. It was fear. They went to therapy. That made me laugh. The therapist wouldn't save her because I didn't stop. I made sure every time she started to calm down, I reminded her I was alive. I left one of my old flannel shirts folded on her garden bench. No blood, just enough of my scent to twist the knife. I used a voice modulator app and left a message on her voicemail. Did you really think I was gone? Then silence. Then a soft laugh. Her phone shattered against the wall. She started begging James to believe her, but he didn't. He told her she needed help. She screamed that he didn't understand. He packed his bags the next day. I watched from a distance as he threw his suitcase in the trunk and slammed the car door. Evelyn ran after him, barefoot, yelling. He didn't stop, didn't even look back. And just like that, she was alone. Truly, completely alone. That's when I pressed harder. I began to walk past the house during the day, casual calm. She'd be at the window. I'd see her eyes widen. She'd move the curtain and freeze. I wouldn't stop. I wouldn't even look at her. Just walk by. One evening, I walked right up to her front gate, rested my hand on the iron rail for 10 seconds, let her see me, then turned and walked away. Another night, I stepped onto her porch, looked straight at her through the people, let her see my silhouette. Then I turned and disappeared again. No camera caught a thing. I'd looped the feeds, scrubbed the backups, blinded her whole system. She had no proof, no one to turn to, no one who believed her. She shut herself inside that house like it was a tomb. Blinds down, doors locked, lights on 24/7, but I didn't stop. And then, one night, I stood at the edge of her lawn and didn't move. 10 minutes, then 15, just watching. She opened the door. Slow, barefoot, hair tangled, eyes hollow. She stepped outside and whispered, "What do you want from me?" I didn't answer, I just walked away. Then one day, I decided to walk in the house. No more shadows, no more whispers, no more games. She had seen my silhouette in windows, heard my breath through phone calls, caught glimpses of me vanishing into the dark. But this time, I didn't disappear. I stepped through the door like I still lived there. The floor creaked beneath my boots. Same floor I laid myself on after mowing the lawn, back when I still believed she loved me. Now it felt like hollow ground. She was coming down the staircase when she saw me. Our eyes met, her entire body froze, like something ancient and cold had just walked through her walls. The blood drained from her face. She stopped, mid-step, one hand on the banister, the other clutching her phone like it was a weapon, like it could save her. It couldn't. I took a step toward her, slow and deliberate, tilted my head. "You're not going to invite me in." She didn't speak. Her mouth worked at the air like she was choking on silence. This house used to echo with her laughter. No, nothing but the low hum of the AC and the sharp tick of the wall clock behind her. She tried to steady herself and, gripping the rail tighter. "Daniel," she finally managed to whisper. I gave her a thin smile. There was no warmth in it. Her eyes darted past me, searching a cop car parked outside. A neighbor watching a hidden camera crew there to catch her. Reaction? Nothing. Just me. I kept my voice calm. No yelling, no threats. Just one question. Why did you do it, Evelyn? She blinked rapidly. I saw the storm start behind her eyes, her brain flipping. Through every excuse she'd been rehearsing for 8 years. She landed on one. You left Daniel, she said. Her voice high, defensive, desperate. You walked away. I didn't flinch, didn't even blink. No, Evelyn, I said quietly. You tried to kill me. She staggered back, like the words themselves shoved her. One more step toward the stairs, one more inch of distance, but she knew it wasn't enough. I took another step forward. Do you remember the sound the dirt made when it hit my chest? I asked her, because I do. She let out a short, nervous laugh, thin and broken. Listen, she said quickly, waving her hand. Already in panic mode. I don't know what happened to you, okay, but you left. You stormed off. You were emotional. We fought. I filed a report. Daniel, you were missing. You shot me, I said. She shook her head. No, Daniel, I didn't. You did. Her breath hitched. Her fingers clutched the doorframe again like it was the only real thing in the room. You buried me. I stepped forward, closer, so close now she could smell the jungle on me. The fire, the rot, the grave. And this time I said it low like the whisper of a ghost she thought she'd buried for good. You buried me, Evelyn. Evelyn passed out cold due to fear. The air in the bedroom feels heavy, thick with the pain of Evelyn's betrayal. My hands shake, not from fear, but from the anger burning inside me, so strong it drowns out the man I used to be. Evelyn lies on the bed, passed out, her chest moving with shallow breaths. Her eyes flutter, and she makes a small sound as she starts to wake. My heart jumps, not with pity, but with excitement. She's awake. It's time. I lift her limp body over my shoulder. She's light, easy to carry. I take her to the bathroom, the cold tiles hard under my feet, and set her down in the empty bathtub. She's still groggy, her eyes half open, but I don't need her fully awake. Not yet. I pull a razor blade from my pocket. It shines in the dim bathroom light, sharp and ready. I grab her left wrist, her skin pale and soft and cut. Blood comes fast, dark and steady, pooling in the tub. I cut her right wrist the same way, quick and clean. The blood spreads, red against the white porcelain. Evelyn wakes more, a weak cry slipping out as she feels the pain. Her eyes go to her wrists, and she gasps. Daniel, she whispers, her voice shaky. Barely there. She tries to sit up, but she's too weak, the blood loss making her limp. Her hands slip on the tub's edges, too frail to hold on. Her breathing is fast, scared, her eyes wide with fear as she looks at me. What did you do? I lean close. Close enough to see the tears in her eyes. Close enough to smell her perfume. The one I used to love. You betrayed me, Evelyn. I say, my voice calm though. Inside I'm raging. You made me believe in you, in us, in our marriage. I stop, letting her feel my words, watching her face twist with pain. I was a fool. She shakes her head, her hair sticking to her. Wet cheeks. No, Daniel, I swear I didn't. Stop lying. My voice is sharp, and she flinches. Her lies make my anger burn hotter. I trusted you. I gave you everything, and you threw it away. Daniel, please, she begs, her voice so soft, breaking apart. I love you. I didn't mean to hurt you. We can fix this. Please help me. She's crying hard now, her body shaking, her words barely coming. Oh, Daniel, I'm sorry, please. Her voice fades, her head falling to the side, her eyes going dull. The blood keeps pooling, dark and still, and I watch, not blinking, as she stops moving. Her body is limp, empty. Evelyn is gone. The anger inside me fades, turning cold and focused. I'm not done. I move fast, making it look right. I put the razor blade in her hand, closing her fingers around it, so it looks like she held it. I scatter some things, a bottle of pills, half empty, a glass of water spilled on the counter to make it seem like she was sad, broken. The blood in the tub, the blade in her hand, it all looks like she chose to end it. I step back, looking around the bathroom. The tiles are cold, the blood bright against the tub, her body still and quiet. It's perfect. It looks like she did this to herself, not like I did it. No one will see my anger, my pain, the man she broke. They'll only see a woman who gave up. I wipe my hands on a towel, cleaning away any sign of me, and look at Evelyn one last time. The room is quiet, the lie is done. I left. Roma the same way I came in, quietly, like a shadow that was never supposed to exist. No goodbyes, no footprints. Just the hum of the city fading behind me as the bus pulled out of town. I had one bag, no ID, and no regrets. Evelyn was gone, and for the world, I had stayed dead. 2 days later, the headlines came out. Local businesswoman found dead in bathtub. Police suspect she did it herself. Mental health cited as major factor. No mention of me. No mention of Mexico. No whispers of a man who had clawed his way out of a grave. Just a sad, broken widow who, according to the papers, had been under severe psychological stress. They bought it. All of it. I crossed the border into Mexico. On foot, same route Lopez's men had shown me. By the time I reached the compound, the sun was already sinking into the jungle, throwing long shadows across the courtyard. Lopez was waiting. Same chair, same cigar, same unreadable face. He didn't stand, didn't smile, just took a drag, blew smoke out into the hot evening. Aaron said, "So, you killed your wife and staged it like she did it."
Thanks for listening. Share your opinion in comment section and also do like and subscribe to the channel.